Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this evening's semi-final debate. My name is Matthew Hanna and I'm the chairman of this debate. The timekeeper is Evie Bell. This debate will be judged by a panel of 3 adjudicators, who are Ria Shiju, Miss Zarbo, and Miss Lowen. The topic of this debate is that schools should ban mullets. The affirmative team seated to my right is from Belair Primary. The negative team seated to my left is from Parkside Primary School. The speaking time for this debate is 3 minutes. A single warning bell will sound at 1 minute before the speaking time, and a double bell will sound at the speaking time. Please ensure that your mobile phones are switched off. I declare this debate open and call upon the first affirmative speaker, Quinn Nettlefold.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that schools should ban mullets. We define the topic as schools, an institution where teaching is given to children and is designed to have positive impacts. Should, a desirable action to take. Ban, to prohibit. Mullets, an extreme hairstyle in which the hair is cut short at the front and sides and kept long at the back. We, the affirmative team, believe this statement to be patently true. Tonight, as first speaker, I will be sharing with you about how mullets have been culturally appropriated and how they are associated with negativity. Our second speaker will talk about how mullets cause peer pressure and cliques, and how banning mullets will prepare young people for the demands of working life. Our third speaker will rebut and sum up our team case. Now to my first point, that the mullet hairstyle has been culturally appropriated from Native American culture. According to the Oxford University Press, cultural appropriation is the unacknowledged or inappropriate adoption of the customs, practices, ideas, etc. of one culture or society by members of another, typically more dominant culture or society. According to Jake Rossen, the senior staff editor of The Mental Floss, Native Americans wore their hair short in the front and sides and was kept long at the back, like a mullet, as a sign of spiritual strength. He also stated that the mullet has been culturally appropriated to the Western culture. According to health.com, cultural appropriation can sustain stereotypes and exploit groups that are discriminated against. All these facts go to show that cultural appropriation isn't okay anywhere, let alone in schools. Since mullets are a form of cultural appropriation, they should be banned. Now to my second point. Mullets should be banned because they are associated with negativity. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, the term mullet is claimed to have been derived from mullet head, a colloquial reference to a stupid or dim-witted person. Roslyn Rowan of Griffith University defined a bogan as a negative term, representing a certain group of people who are prone to violence. The term bogan was generally used to label people who sported a particular look, including a mullet. Because of the negative connotations around this extreme hairstyle, schools should ban mullets. So, in conclusion, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, we, the affirmative team, believe that based on cultural appropriation and negative association, mullets should be banned. Thank you.
call upon the first negative speaker, Kitty Glossop.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that schools should ban mullets. We agree with the definition provided by the affirmative team, but as we are the negative team, we believe that this statement is unquestionably false. The affirmative team have tried to tell you that negativity are associated with mullets. This is false because stereotypes of any hairstyle can be false. So you can't hate on anything on what people choose to do with their bodies. Tonight I'll be talking to you about how mullets help a child express their individuality, and that schools should be focusing on their education, not a hairstyle. Our second speaker will be talking to you about how mullets are an Australian icon and that they are easy and cost friendly. Our third speaker will rebut in some of our team's case. My first point tonight focuses on the fact that having your own hairstyle, including mullets, help children show their individuality. Shona Headley, writing from kidspot.com, claims there should be some leeway shown for students in being able to have a mullet as a way to show their individuality, personality, and express their identity. This makes total sense, as students who are at high school are going through lots of changes, and a lot of these changes are linked to working out who they really want to be. Why would you want to impact a child's identity by banning a hairstyle? My second point tonight is that schools should be focusing on their education, not a haircut. Recently, some schools have banned mullets, stating that it is a part of their uniform policy. A school's job is to educate children, not to tell them what they can and can't do with their bodies. I argue that children and teenagers think with their brain, not with their hair. A child isn't open to learning when the school is putting pressure on them to conform to a rigid set of rules. The Australian Institute of Health and Welfare stated that 1 in 5 11 to 17-year-olds are experiencing very high levels of psychological distress. This could include self-harm, depression, or other mental illnesses. Do schools really want to add more stress to young people's lives about what they choose to do with something as trivial as their hair? So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, as children grow up, they should be able to make independent choices about who they are and who they want to be in the world. Different hairstyles reflect diversity instead of repressing individuality and old-fashioned ideas about uniformity. In addition, I've demonstrated that the length of a student's hair has no bearing on their ability to learn and thrive at school. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Thank you.
I call upon the second affirmative speaker, Sky McKinnon.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen. The topic of tonight's debate is that schools should ban mullets. We, the affirmative team, believe that this statement is undeniably true. The first speaker on the negative team has tried to tell you that mullets help children express themselves. This is wrong because, according to Hairfinder, one of the biggest telltale signs that a teenager was under intense peer pressure was a teenager's choice of hairstyle. This is because teenagers feel pressure from other kids to sport the most popular hairstyle. Our first speaker spoke to you about how mullets were culturally appropriated from Native American culture. She also spoke to you about how the mullet haircut is associated with negativity. I will be talking to you about 2 points. Now to my first point, that mullets induce peer pressure. Banning mullets would decrease peer pressure and the forming of cliques in school. According to the Australian Catholic University professor Peter Wilson, who researches the field of motor and cognitive development in children, uniforms and dress codes in schools deter social status comparisons and reduce pressure on children about their clothing and dress options. According to Grace Chen, an educational researcher and provider, uniforms and dress codes reduce the prevalence of cliques and gangs on school campuses. According to Beardbrand, the mullet has become one of the most popular hairstyles in 2022. Hairfinder stated that teenagers' hairstyles are arguably one of the biggest indicators of this intense level of peer pressure and unwillingness to counteract the fashion of a group of friends, or sometimes the entire school, to risk falling out of popularity. Banning mullets will reduce the negative impacts of peer pressure and cliques on young, impressionable students. And as schools are designed to have a positive impact on students, mullets must be banned. Now to my second point, that the banning of mullets will prepare people for the demands of working life. According to ThoughtCo, teachers are often supportive of uniforms and dress codes because of the perceived improvements in both student performance and behaviour. According to John Franklin, the principal of an all-boys St. Virgil's College in Hobart North, the strict rule is based to prepare young men for life beyond the gate. This is important, as also stated by John Franklin. Just as many workplaces have expectations of presentation, the college expected students to adhere to a dress code that includes neat hair and appropriate uniform. This means that by banning mullets, it will prepare young people for the demands of working life. So, Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen, we, the Affirmative team, indubitably believe that mullets should be banned. Thank you.
I call upon the second negative speaker, Miller Corsby.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that schools should ban mullets. We, the negative team, believe that this statement is undoubtedly false. Now to my rebuttal. The second affirmative speaker has tried to tell you that mullets induce peer pressure. This is false, as students have the right to wear whatever they want. Even if all their peers have it, they are pressured to have it, this still doesn't impact any of their learning. Our first speaker has already stated that mullets express individuality and how education is more important than a hairstyle. Today, I will be speaking to you about how mullets are an Australian icon and how they are easy and cost-friendly. My first point tonight is that mullets are an Australian icon. Love it or hate it, the mullet is a firm part of Australian cultural fabric, just like Vegemite or Ugg boots. It is a well-known cultural norm for children to look up to and mimic their role models. And this is no different for Australian children when it comes to hairstyle inspiration. Mullet legend AFL player Bailey Smith encourages children to talk openly about mental health and the Mullets for Mental Health Awareness program. Other Australian icons such as Shane Warne and John Farnan have also been positive role models for Australian kids. The ability to look up to their role models and heroes with a mullet and mimic this hairstyle should be supported, not banned. My final point tonight is that mullets are low cost and easy to create. InDaily.com stated that the mullet lends itself to a hands-off approach. The mullet can be left to grow out and still look extremely good, even with a bit of length. This works on both females and males, and is therefore quite efficient. FashionJournal.com also supports this claim, saying that the mullet is an extremely forgiving hairstyle to cut. And this is why the hairstyle is such a popular do-it-yourself choice. According to the Australian Financial Review, the average cost of a basic haircut in Australia is $50 to $70, depending on what state you live in. The fact that this style is easy for hairdressers to create and does not require lots of regular maintenance and is a DIY style means fewer visits to the salon, in turn saving money. Why would we choose to ban such an efficient hairstyle? So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we strongly believe that mullets definitely should not be banned. Thank you.
I call upon the third affirmative speaker, Daphne Lim.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that schools should ban mullets. We, the affirmative team, believe that this statement is unequivocally true. The first speaker on the negative team has tried to tell you that banning mullets would prevent students from expressing themselves. While we agree that the right to express yourself is important, however, according to the Department of Education, schools can impose restrictions on hairstyles, as with other uniform restrictions, under Section 9 of the Education and Children's Services Act 2019. Also, schools should be encouraging students to express themselves through their ideas and personality, not through their physical appearances. Hairfinder stated that teenagers' hairstyles are arguably one of the biggest indicators of this intense level of peer pressure and unwillingness to counteract the fashion of a particular group of friends, or sometimes the whole school, to risk falling out of popularity. The first speaker on the negative team has tried to tell you that students shouldn't have to conform to uniform standards. This is wrong because schools have the legal right to require students to adhere to dress codes and uniforms, including those about hairstyles. According to Youth for Australia, when a student enrolls at a private school, their parents and guardians will sign an enrolment agreement when they agree that their child will follow school rules, including any relevant school rules about uniforms and dress. They also stated that public schools can require students to wear certain clothing in line with their policy and may reasonably punish students for failing to follow school uniform rules. The first speaker on the negative team has tried to tell you how people wear their hair does not affect their schoolwork. This may be true, however, according to the ABC, people with mullets and other styles of long hair were more likely to have head lice. Also, according to the North Carolina State Chemistry Department, in science classes, a core subject, long hair that is not tied back is a safety hazard because it can be caught in equipment. The second speaker on the negative team has tried to tell you that the mullet is an iconic Australian haircut. This is wrong because, according to Jake Rosson, the senior staff editor at Mental Floss, Native Americans wore their hair short at the front and sides and kept it long at the back as a sign of spiritual strength. He also stated that the mullet has been culturally appropriated into Western culture, being that it's definitely not an Australian invention. The second speaker on the negative team has tried to tell you that students should look up to their athletes as role models. This may be true, however, as according to the ABC, many sporting role models have a criminal record, meaning that they are not a positive role model for students. Our first speaker spoke to you about how the mullet hairstyle has been culturally appropriated from Native American culture. She also spoke about how mullets are associated with a negativity that should definitely not be in schools. Our second speaker told you about how banning mullets would decrease peer pressure and the formation of cliques in schools. So, Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we, the negative team, believe that schools should unquestionably ban mullets. And, as moral and social philosopher Eric Hoffer once wisely stated, if a society is to preserve stability and a degree of continuity, it must learn how to keep its adolescents from imposing their tastes, values and fantasies on everyday life. Thank you.
I call upon the third negative speaker, Zara Shuttleworth.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for tonight's debate is that schools should ban mullets. We, the negative team, believe that this statement is undeniably false. The opposing team has tried to tell you that mullets are not acceptable in culture. Growing up in today's world is very tough, even without a school taking away the right to express yourself. Earlier this year, Swinburne University senior psychology lecturer Julian Oldmeadow said banning mullets suggested schools thought the hairstyle had a negative perception and was something for bogans. This is no longer the case, and the mullet is now actually a fashionable style. He also said you could argue that this is discrimination along the same lines as banning Muslim women from wearing burqas or any other form of self-expression. We are all different, and in a world where we all look the same would not be a good one. The second affirmative speaker has attempted to tell you that banning mullets will improve your understanding of working life. This is wrong, because the mullet is a haircut overwhelmingly worn by males. In 2006, the BBC reported on a 14-year-old British boy who was prepared to be expelled from his school for refusing to cut his hair. He said, "There is no way a girl would be told to keep her hair at the collar length at the back." It is an excellent point. There's also other overseas examples. In 2019, the American states of California, New York, and New Jersey passed laws banning discrimination based on hairstyles that are commonly linked to a person's nationality. Our second speaker has already proven that a mullet is an iconic hairstyle that is very Australian, so let's not discriminate. The third affirmative speaker has stated that banning mullets would not stop student expression. This is wrong, because according to the South Australia's Commissioner for Children and Young People, some students have reported that not being able to choose what to wear or how they present themselves at school makes them feel empowered. It can also help prevent them for real life by teaching them to take responsibility for their decisions and encouraging them to grow into the next generation of independent, critical thinking leaders. The Commissioner always says it's been proven that successful uniform policies take into account student opinions and involve them in decision making. Take it from 3 students like us. Banning a mullet is a very bad suggestion. Our first speaker has already talked to you about how mullets express individuality, making them feel unique and different to others. Schools shouldn't be able to control what hairstyle you have that expresses who you are. They also said that school is about education, not what hairstyle you have. You don't go to school to have restrictions on what you are allowed to wear. You go to school to learn. Our second speaker has already said that mullets are an Australian icon. Many famous role models like footballers and Olympians have mullets. They have been around for a long time, and why block school students from looking up to their favourite celebrities? They also said that mullets are easy and cost-friendly. Most people don't get their hair cut when they have this particular hairstyle, so you're only getting your haircut every couple of months, which makes mullets easy to handle and cheap. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, banning mullet-style haircuts in schools would be a disgrace. It would actually be un-Australian. To quote famous author Beam Weeks, he says, "Freedom doesn't come from banning, it comes from mastering self-control." Thank you.
While the adjudicators finalise the result, I'll read this evening's chairman's notices. Winners from today. Please see the information desk following your debate regarding guest limits at the award presentations on Thursday, the 3rd of November 2022. Each team has been allocated 9 places and we need to collect names and contact details by this weekend. Grand finals will be held at Parliament House on Saturday, the 24th of November 2022. Oh, sorry, September. Please refer to Debating SA website for times and all are welcome to attend. There is no need to RSVP. Feel free to speak among yourselves.
That's the second last Oh, I'm going
I invite a representative of the adjudication panel to come forward to announce the result. Thank you very much.
I feel at my age, I feel a bit like the Queen. I should be handing this over to the younger people to do it. Good practice for them, but at the same time, I could be run over by a bus, and this, well, not even a bus, just ill health, and I, could pop off tomorrow. Oh, okay, kids, you didn't hear any of that. I'd like to commend the chairman on an excellent job. And when we were outside, writing out the cards and things, we all commended everyone. Just an excellent job. They've worked really, really hard during the season. And all of us do senior adjudications as well. And let me tell you, some of the senior teams aren't as good as this. This is phenomenal. So really, job well done. And also to the parents and the coaches who support them. So first of all, we're going to, the award goes to Daphne Lim. So congratulations. And so tonight it was a unanimous decision and we've awarded it to the Affirmative team.
I call upon a member of the runner-up team to give a vote of thanks.
like to thank the adjudicators for judging our debate tonight, the chairman and timekeeper for helping out, and the audience for taking out time of their day to watch us, and Belair, most importantly, good luck in the grand final.
I call upon a member of the winning team to give a second vote. To second that vote.
First, we'd like to thank Parkside for just being such great proponents. Really enjoyable debate. Debating a safe hosting, the adjudicators for judging, the rest of my team for being my team, and our wonderful coach, Mrs. Farmer, and everyone, and Miss G, and everyone else who came to watch us. Nazareth for hosting, and Mr. Hudson and Miss G for coming to watch us.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance. I now declare this debate closed.
Madam?